everyone, and welcome to a new video of the Plurals system. In this video we're talking about the new movie Glass. So first of all, this movie contains spoilers, just so you're aware. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah Clark. I am someone who lives with dissociative identity disorder. I got diagnosed in 2012, and since then I've been reading everything I can get my hands on related to this disorder and OSDD, other specified dissociative disorder. So today I went to the cinema. I don't go to the cinema often. I will include some footage of my trip there and like the first second of the movie or something, because obviously I didn't want to violate any rules. But yes, so you will see that and you will see me, and we will talk about this movie and everything that happened from a perspective of someone living with DID. So first of all, the movie Glass was very different than the movie Split. The movie Split was about a person living with DID. The movie Glass was a movie about superheroes. So this movie contained 3 superheroes, and one of them has DID, and that is a person who we obviously saw in Split, and his name is Kevin, among others. So Kevin has 24 alters, and this time he gets treated by a doctor named Ellie Staple. And Ellie Staple is hired to treat these 3 superheroes in 3 days. When they said this in the movie, I laughed so hard out loud, and no one else was laughing but me, because obviously you cannot heal DID or any other disorder in 3 days. So Dr. Ellie Staple, she treats a different disorder than DID. I don't think she is specialized in DID like the previous therapist was in the Split movie. That therapist was educated on DID. This doctor, she was educated in treating a disorder for people who believe they are superheroes. In the movie, the doctor claims that more important people have this disorder, where they have this delusion. It's referred to once as distinct personality disorder, but besides that, it's just being called the disorder she treats. She says it's a problem of the frontal lobe. So I will insert a little picture here of what the frontal lobe does. Could be related, but it's not what is related to DID, or there's a lot more related to DID than just the frontal lobe. As always, the shirts are available in the Plurals shop. Link is down below in the description. So first of all, let's talk about the lights, because that was a big concern for a lot of people with DID. So a lot of people seem to think that it was different colored lights that triggered out different alters. That was not the case. It was also not just any light. It was a special hypnotic light. Now, there is no such thing as a hypnotic light. That does not exist. I'm a hypnotist myself. There's no such thing as a hypnotic light unless you make a light hypnotic through hypnotic suggestion. So these hypnotic lights that they use in a movie, because obviously it's a movie, when they switch on the lights, which are really bright, Kevin is forced to switch. And every time the lights are turned on, a different alter fronts. So the lights are not to trigger out Kevin, it's not to trigger out the beast. You know, that's the alter that kidnaps and murders people. In this movie, it triggers him to switch. The switches in the movie are very violent, and it seems painful. He yells and he shouts and he screams. That's not the case for DID. You probably won't even notice if I switch in this movie. You will see the differences if you look at different of my movies of different alters, but for 90% of people with DID, the disorder is covert. So that means you probably won't notice anything if you don't know about the disorder, that we have the disorder. And that information is from the Diagnostic Statistic Manual that everyone uses to diagnose DID. So these lights are used as a sort of torture device on Kevin. The reaction he has sort of looks like shock therapy. So that might be some sort of reference to that, which is something that some DID patients have experienced in their life. So that was quite offensive, I guess, to me, that they would use the same sort of, well, visible image, I guess, as shock therapy. There was one nurse who triggered Kevin on purpose with the lights to keep him switching constantly. That was very unpleasant to see, and that was quite triggering as well. So let's talk a bit about why I think this movie might be harmful or hurtful to people with DID and their loved ones. First of all, in this movie, we see a lot of violence, and that is not something we see portrayed in people with DID. Those with DID mostly harm themselves, not people they love, and also not strangers. I think another danger in this movie is the psychiatric ward that they show. There is a lot of abuse going on this ward from the medical staff that isn't taking proper care of their patients. So if you see this movie and you get triggered somehow, then you might not want to visit a doctor because of what you saw in the movie of how they treat people with DID or people in psychiatric units. This is not really how we get treated in psychiatric units in 2019, hopefully. But it's definitely not, helpful in the whole situation. Again, there was no disclaimer up front about the lights, also not for epilepsy patients. There was no disclaimer afterwards of where to get help or anything like that. It's not representative of DID because we with DID are not murderers, first of all. There was a lot less dressing up in this movie compared to the last one, which was a good, positive thing because no one is going to dress up 30 times in a day in real life. So I guess that was good, but then again, they were in a psychiatric unit, so it's not really like you can choose what you wear there. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Overall, I'm glad I survived the movie. I'm glad I survived the triggers. It's disappointing that, they still didn't listen to our complaints and our concerns. It's too bad they didn't include a disclaimer this time. Well, it was too bad they didn't include a disclaimer in Split either, but we thought that, by everything we and other multiples have spoken out about, they would at least include a disclaimer, but they still didn't do that. So that's too bad. There was a lot of rapid switching in this movie, I have to say. And I do also have to say as a compliment that it was acted well, the rapid switching, because I think that's very difficult for an actor or for anyone to act. And if you have the DID, obviously it's completely out of control when that happens. So to do it in control by your free will must be very, very difficult. So in the last movie, one of the victims was let go or she escaped. Her name is Casey. She made a comeback in this movie, and in this movie she is in school and the principal calls her out and tells her that Kevin was arrested and he is now in a psychiatric facility. The first thing Casey does is hops on a bus to visit the psychiatric facility. She confronts the new therapist, Dr. Ellie Staple, and she tells Dr. Ellie Staple that she wants to meet Kevin, that she wants to talk with him. I don't think that's a normal trauma response, but okay, she goes to talk with Kevin. They have an interesting conversation. She asks if she can talk with Patricia, the female alter, and she also asked if she could talk with Kevin. I can't remember who she was talking with. They say no, she can't talk with Kevin. Then she gives him, touches his arm, and he switches anyway. So from that interaction, the therapist decides that the only way Kevin is going to heal is by physical touch and someone accepting him for who he is. And that person has to be Casey, the victim who escaped. So I don't know what happened to, caring for the victim, but apparently this was the only solution that this brilliant therapist had. So Casey tries to fix him eventually by giving him a hug, and Kevin indeed does come out. Yeah, I don't want to give too many spoilers for those who do want to see it, but that eventually works out, which, could happen with DID, but seems, rare, especially since this was an active victim and not someone he loved or he knew from growing up or something like that. So it was kind of weird that she was the key to unlock this all. One thing I liked about the movie was when the 9-year-old alter Hedwig was out, he asked someone else, what is your superpower? And that person explains what his superpower is. And then the 9-year-old says, I wonder what my superpower is. And the superhero says, well, you're 9 forever, right? And then Hedwig says, yes, I'm 9 forever. That is a superpower. That was a very nice moment in the movie. But still, it was, it was class. Kevin was dormant for a while, and when he came back, he said it's not so bad in the light. And that was also a line of the movie that I really enjoyed. So near the end of the movie, we find out that Mr. Glass, the, new main superhero character in this movie, is the one who created superheroes, and with that also indirectly caused Kevin to have DID. So that was an interesting plot twist at the end. I'm not really sure what else to say about this movie besides that I'm disappointed in how they portray people with DID and our disorder. It's not fair towards us. It's not realistic. It might scare people to get to know us and to be open-minded about DID, while that's completely not necessary because most of us are very, very friendly people and not killers. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and see you for the next video. Bye bye.